What is going on, guys? Samuel World from Samuel One World Productions here. Back with another top 10 list for y'all today, and continue on with this series I've been doing. Well, from 1896 to 2022, I'm top of my favorite movies from every one of those years. I've done 1996 and 7 so far. And let's keep on. We're talking about the lovely 1998. Again, this is just my personal opinion. I will let you know yours down below. So let's get started with the list, shall we? Of course, let's get into the honorable mentions, which are the Rugrats movie, The Parent Trap, Enemy of the State, Halloween H2O 20 years later, Dr. Dolittle, Lethal Weapon 4, American History X, Armageddon, The Mask of Zorro, not sure how popular that's going to be, and then A Simple Plan. All great movies, just did not make the list. Hope you all enjoy the list, shall we? Kicking off the list number 10, we get to a film I've actually always loved, honestly, but I found it kind of underrated. Not sure what now this is going to be, Also, other people think this is also under classic, I think it's terrible, but I've always enjoyed this movie, and that is Basketball. Yes, Basketball, which stars the creators of South Park, Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And of course, about a series where these two characters basically try to form something between baseball and basketball called Basketball. And the creativeness they get out of that is just fantastic. And I think the creativeness of the story and the fact that they try to find these sports is just comedic gold. And I've always enjoyed that for this movie because of how comedic and hilarious. Like, the comedy is just amazing here, and laugh out loud, gut busting hilarity ensues here. But you got very interesting characters as well, with some really good solid performances, some really nice music, really good, great directing by David Zucker. It's just a really good comedy that had me laughing and smiling from year to year. If you haven't checked this out, I definitely do recommend it. Now, coming in at number 9, we have the original Blade. Blade's it's a superhero film that basically kind of reinvented the genre onto the 10, because it was this broad time where superheroes were more seen as more of a joke and not interesting, or even spiked up. That we had some good, solid ones, and it basically was a time where superhero films were really treated with respect and everything. But this, and one people say that obviously X-Men or Spider-Man was a game changer. This was the definitive game changer, honestly. Blade Wesley starts playing a badass vampire hunter with fantastically directed action set pieces, with Blade also being a very compelling character, some very green lore, along with some pretty nice world building as well. Tried out really great performances from his general cast as well. Some really great back and forths. Like, honestly, the effects were pretty much shit. Like, I want to say honestly, if the effects weren't shit in this movie, this film probably wasn't much higher on this list, honestly, but aside from that, Blade is just kick-ass from beginning to end. Now, at number 8, I don't know if people don't like that part, that's about Blade, but at number 8 we have The Wedding Singer. Now, yeah, a lot of people tend to really shit on Adam Sandler nowadays, and in some ways it's really so if you really want to see some of his movies in the 2000s and 2010s. And, I mean, I don't think Adam Sandler is as bad as some make out to be, though. He does have made some of the worst comedies ever made. I'm not dismissing that, obviously. I'm not saying that he's like an underrated comedic masterpiece, because again, some movies absolutely suck. Like, they were terrible. But he does have some nice gems in there, and Wedding Singer is probably might bring his best. So just a film that, while it's completely what you'd expect from a comedy, it still lives that in the most charming and cheesy way possible that I just can't help but grin and smile whenever I watch it. And combined with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore pretty much having great comedic chemistry, and the reason what they did like 2 of the films together as well, where they have great comedic back and forth and just a nice relationship as well. We got a really touching, we got a really nice story here as well, with some pretty interesting characters, some really great music. Just a film that really does tug on your heartstrings in the best possible way. It's just sweet and charming to watch. And Adam Sandler definitely delivers on that charm as well, especially with that ending sequence. So this is a film that I just get a big smile every time I watch it. And in my opinion, it is also the best Adam Sandler movie that we have gotten. At number 7, we have The Big Lebowski. And the reason I did that is like, oh my god, Big Lebowski is only on number 7 on this list? Because obviously this movie is like praised across the board. It's like well known as being one of the best comedies ever made, one of the best films ever made, honestly. I'm not saying like it's like an overrated, honestly. To be honest, I think people overuse what overrated means, honestly. If you really think about it, honestly. I'm not saying like I don't love this movie as much as I most of because again, I mean it's still on this list, so obviously I still love Big Lebowski. It's an iconic movie for a reason. I don't think I need to say why it's so beloved. It's hilarious. Jeff Bridges is amazing in this movie. It has a really compelling story, as well as some very iconic moments that I've memed and talked about to this very day. The answer is simple. They're just 6 movies I enjoyed just a tad bit more. But even else, nothing against Big Lebowski, honestly. Nothing about it really like offended me. Nothing really having like major issues with the movie. I just enjoyed the other 6 just a little tad bit more. That was it. Now, at number 6, we actually have the 3rd Disney movie in a row to make this list. Again, I should tell you that obviously Disney does make some great movies, honestly. But at number 6, we have Mulan. Another iconic Disney animated movie that, again, I've always loved. I always thought it was one of my favorites growing up, and honestly, I still do love Mulan. I still do love watching this movie as well. I mean, it has probably one of the most emotionally compelling stories in any Disney movie, where Mulan basically tries to pin a guy to basically win back the honor of her father and basically everything like that. And it makes for some killing stuff, honestly, that Mulan does go through throughout the movie. But now you have some really good characters with Shang and the three soldier characters who are great comedic relief. Mushu, in my opinion, also seems to I've seen some people really not like Mushu recently, and I'm like, I've always loved Mushu. I think a lot of that really comes down to Eddie Murphy in this movie, who's really a great performance as the character. Well, I indeed like the villain, honestly. I mean, not one of the best villains, but he's a pretty more of a foe. And again, like in most of these movies, got some great music as well. I mean, Reflection, of course. I'll make a man out of you. What more could you ask for? Now, we on the top 5 people. I'm not sure we're going to like this placement, honestly, but at number 5, we have Bride of Chucky, which is in my humble opinion, the best Child's Play movie. Again, when the remake came out, I did watch all these movies for the first time. Honestly, it's definitely an interesting franchise, that's for sure. One that had some great highs and some pretty big lows. See, Chucky and some aspects of Chucky Season 2, which I have not finished watching, but what I've seen each. But it does have some really good movies in its catalog, honestly, and not everything this franchise does is a home run, and even some movies I do enjoy do have some major issues, but Bride is one of the only movie I don't really ever think about. Bride is the only movie in this franchise where I don't really have any major issues with the actual movie. It's a film that basically just knows what it is and embraces it. It's like basically, it gets go to comedic route, honestly, but does that in the best possible way, with Chucky being just as best here, along with having like Tiffany someone to work off with, who is just as narcissistic and evil as he is. At least to a great romance and a great back and forth between them, and leads to some probably some best kills you'll see in any horror franchise, in my opinion. The one that really just I was so oh. Right now, you also got a movie that has great laughs and just a great fun energy to it. That again, it's not one of the movies I start now watching every Halloween, because it's honestly my favorite horror comedies of all time. Like you'll definitely check this out. Probably the franchise if you haven't, honestly. Again, it definitely has its lows, but this is definitely a huge high. Probably the highest that this franchise will ever go, for being honest. And now we get to another iconic movie at number 4 on this list, and that is The Truman Show. And it's one of the classics, like, do I need to say why these movies should be on this list? Honestly, Truman Show is one of the most compelling and interesting movies ever. Basically, you see a man Truman who basically verbally won a life, then he ends up finally has a television show about him, and you got so many iconic moments, so many iconic lines that people still reference to this very day. 25 years later, that's insane for me to think about it, but It's a movie that always just puts a big grin on my face whenever I watch it, and also has some pretty great dramatic and really interesting moments, and well, all types of very interesting stuff on reality television, and also reality and surveillance and privacy and all that stuff, while also having great dramatic feel to it, with having some hilarious moments, but also some pretty just dramatic moments, especially with Jim Carrey delivering one of his best performances, and also great cast all around in general. And you got a movie that's just, again, do I need to say why this movie is good? I doubt so. Now, at number 3 on this list, number 3, I'm not sure people are like me putting this movie above The Truman Show. But again, this is not a movie that I've also watched constantly growing up, and I've always loved this franchise, and that is the original Rush Hour. And this film really is just a simple comedy. Like, it's honestly one of my favorite buddy cop action movies, honestly, of all time. Definitely in top 5, top 3, honestly. I've always loved this movie. And all that really is because thanks to Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, who pretty much plays, which definitely is one of the best buddy cop dynamic relationships you will ever see, with their great back and forth with each other, which I think Jim showing some amazing comedic that I don't think we've seen up to this point, if I remember correctly. And Chris Tucker, like, I've always loved Chris Tucker growing up. He's one of the actors where when he's in, he always steals the show. He's actually we don't really see much nowadays, unfortunately, but I have always loved him, and the back and forth is just hilarious. Even some many iconic lines, memorable moments, some really solid action as well. It's just a simple, great buddy cop comedy. Like, that's pretty much all I'm going to say, but I've always loved this original movie. Hell, I even love the sequels, honestly, so. But yeah, the original, I think, is still the best. Now, at number 2. We have another anime movie made this list, and that is The Prince of Egypt, which is the second movie done by DreamWorks, honestly, which is seen has always been very interesting, honestly, considering that if you know the story, how they were created and everything, and considering the like for a while they having like a bit of identity crisis in some areas, but again, I've always loved DreamWorks. Like, I grew up watching Shrek and all the other popular franchises that they have had, honestly. And I want to say everything to do is a home run. I mean, The Boss Baby and Trolls and some other movies, but I've always had a huge amount of respect for them, honestly. And well, of course, Shrek was the franchise that obviously like shot them into the stratosphere in terms of popularity and love and everything. But I think Prince of Egypt proved that they actually do know what they're doing. I think this is true one of the movies. I think that the more it has came out, the more it's still one of the movies I think has aged the more it went along, honestly. And I think really has loved it to very recent, to like the last few years. And I've always loved this movie, honestly. And it's definitely the reason why it has been loved. Honestly, a lot thanks to his beautiful animation, his pretty compelling emotional story, incredible music, great voice actors, really interesting characters, great music. It's a film that really hits so much emotion and stuff that you probably wouldn't expect DreamWorks to do, actually, if you really think about it. But again, I've always loved Prince of Egypt, and through that, I also did grow up watching, despite his interesting nature, but I've always loved Prince of Egypt. Again, a movie that, honestly, if not checked out, I would definitely recommend, honestly. But again, the visuals, the music, the voice acting, the characters, it's just one movie that just has so much passion and heart behind it. And it's a film that I think you put that DreamWorks definitely should make some really good stuff, honestly. Oh, because once the Shrek came out, they were like, oh, so DreamWorks definitely has one taste, but I think it's a movie that really has made them be like, so they can make some good stuff, honestly. Kind of curious. But now, coming in at number 1, my favorite movie of 1998 is, honestly, it was nothing I was going to make this movie, honestly. No one is Saving Private Ryan. I always confused this movie. Honestly, for the longest time, I always thought this movie came out in 1999, honestly. I'm not sure why, honestly, but then I found it came out in 1998, honestly, which was interesting, but again, what I need to say about this movie hasn't already been said. Like, it's the best war movie ever made, Steven Spielberg is an incredible voice in this movie. He's my favorite director of all time. You got Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, and incredible cast here as well. You got a movie that really showcases the brutality of war. And I still think it's the greatest war movie ever made, honestly. Exhilarating action sequences, a runtime that may seem long but kind of just breezes on by. One of the best openings ever made. Again, do I need to talk about why this movie is number one? Again, it's not one of those classics for a goddamn reason. But yeah, I've always loved this movie. I know I watched a lot when it came out, and I've at least watched growing up. And it's 25 years later, it's still worthy of being called the best war movie ever made. In my top 3 Steven Spielberg movies, and my number 1 favorite movie of 1998. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed me discussing my 10 favorite movies of 1998. Let me know down below in the comment section what are your thoughts on these movies. Let me know your favorites down below in the comment section. I am Sam Wormwood of Sam World Productions. I will see you next time. As always, stay cool, everybody. Peace.